Hello and welcome. I'm Shabana Abdul Razak, your host, and this is Fearless Females, the show where we celebrate women who do not just navigate the world of achievement, they redefine it.
Very scary moment. Because you're walking into the unknown.
Please give a warm welcome to the incredible Halima Jumani. Hello and welcome. I'm Shabana Abdul Razak, your host, and this is Fearless Females, the show where we celebrate women who do not just navigate the world of achievement, they redefine it. We look for leaders who see a barrier and treat it like a challenge, who see an opportunity and turn it into an empire. Tonight, we kick off our pilot episode with a true titan of industry, a visionary who changed the way hundreds of thousands of families eat, shop, and live across the region. When we talk about Gibsons, we are talking about more than just fresh produce. We are talking about commitment to quality, speed, and integrity that has made it a household name. An undeniable leader in the Middle East's retail and delivery space. She's the ultimate example of a leader who balances legacy with innovation. She's the owner and visionary director of Gibsons, a true pioneer among fearless females. Please give a warm welcome to the incredible Halima Jumani. Thank you, Halima, for being the first fearless female.
Thank you, Shabana, for having me here.
So let's dive into the question straight away.
Yes.
Excited? So, Halima, you have made the first most UAE's loved homegrown business, Gibsons. What gaps did you see in the market that made you create your business?
So, Gibsons in the UAE today is known for the e-commerce brand. But the company has been in existence for about 40 years. Okay, so back in the 1970s, when Dubai was very young, the country had very little agriculture. And, Gibson saw the opportunity to import all sorts of fruits and vegetables to cater to the population of the UAE. And so the business has always focused on wholesale and distribution for nearly 4 decades. And back in the 2016, I was part of the family business. And this wasn't an entrepreneurial move. This was purely someone in finance looking at the numbers and telling the boys that the numbers don't add up. In the beginning, it was kind of nice to be in the distribution mode because when we got the contract for Spinneys or Carrefour or Union Co-op, it was a good thing. The businesses were growing, the supermarkets were growing from being small to big supermarkets and hypermarkets. So our business was growing with them. But when the industry model changed and the supermarkets started to build up their own procurement in-house, it was the distributors like Gibsons who were seeing the decline in the business and the margins. And that was the turning point for Gibsons, to be honest, because what do? Do you continue with those revenues, or do you take a step back and say, no, we need to look for alternative sources of better business, better margins? And I think e-commerce began after, as a company, we decided to step back on distribution. So at the time, the notion was, how do we bring health to families in the UAEs at an affordable price? And being the first point of contact for both quality and price, this was our core value proposition that we could offer to the residents of the UAE. But the idea wasn't at the scale where we are today. The idea was to create an Excel spreadsheet and spread around to family and friends so they could enjoy the quality that we enjoyed as a family ourselves and at the prices. To give you an example, in those days, a punnet of blueberries in Spinneys was anywhere between 22 to 24 dirhams a punnet.
Yeah.
Right? And at our wholesale shop, we were selling at 9 dirhams a punnet. and still making money. So the difference in the savings was considerable, and it made a huge difference for those families where there were athletes and teenagers, and the food intake was high. Where there was a dent in the bills, Gibson stepped in to fill that gap of how they can eat healthy and save money at the same time.
It's amazing because I remember those days as well, and sometimes you want to pick up a box of blueberries and you see, oh my God, you just finish it by yourself. But when Gibsons came in and we saw the amazing, transformation that you did, it really did the magic, at least for my household. So, continuing that, I just want to know, what was the defining moment that you had and the confidence that you got to take this forward?
Now we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Back in the days, it was an uncharted territory. We had no idea what we were getting into. And I would say that was a defining moment, a very scary moment. Because you're walking into the unknown. And not only that, I remember for 2 years in the wholesale market, this was such a huge rumor that Gibsons is not doing well. The business where they were into the sales of containers and pallets. And now the wife is trying to sell punnets of strawberries around door to door and saying, sorry, we'll send you another punnet if you're not happy with this one. Poor guys, they're probably going bankrupt. It was a difficult time. For 2 years, we did not really see this as an e-commerce. Our goal was to really pivot from the distribution business and save the jobs of around 45 Bangladeshi merchandisers who were actually restocking the shelves on the supermarkets, but they were on the payroll of suppliers like us. So what I wanted to do is give them a consistent job and support my extended family of friends with their budgets. And the scale, I think, outperformed anything we had imagined. This is because at the time in Dubai, e-commerce was not expected for another decade. And even if it was, the notion of e-commerce in a segment where people could not shift trust easily. It's okay if you buy books and shoes, but it's different if you are looking at mangoes or avocados or the produce that goes into the body of your loved ones. People want to touch and feel and procure. So to win their trust was another level of challenge, and we did not see the scale coming.
Amazing, isn't it? How far you come, right?
It's I remember when we we started with about 50 to 100 deliveries a day. And when we reached 300 deliveries, I took my small team of 8 drivers and 8 pickers to Mardif city center, and we had a blast. We played the arcade games, and we had so many prizes. And everybody said, "Well, sir, when is the next party going to be?" And Jamal said, 1,000 deliveries a day. So on the way back, I was very upset with him. I said, well, if you didn't want to give a party, you could have just said no. Why put 1,000 deliveries? When are we going to get there? Or probably we'll never get there. And he turned around and said, Halima, you don't see where this is going. So I suppose he always had the vision at the time. I was busy implementing what I had started. And we all know this was pushed when COVID came. That was another level of scale and incredibly challenging. But even before COVID, we were already at 2,000 deliveries a day.
So I know that, your industry is very male dominated. And you were, I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the leading female there sitting in the vegetable market. How did you face that and overcome those challenges that came your way by being a female in the male-dominated vegetable market?
So in the early years, my background being finance and operations, I think my presence was okay because I wasn't really overstepping on the commercial side. So Jamal looked after the procurement and sales, and I was the back office functions, looking at finance, ops, IT, and so on. But when e-commerce began, I think that's where I stepped into the commercial side for the first time. And it was challenging. I mean, even to the point of telling the boys that the distribution business needs to be relooked, or we need to do something, wasn't really perceived very well, because in their minds, somewhere along the line was like, what do you know about our business? And, how can you come and tell us what to do, what not to do? I remember the general manager of 14 years who was looking after that entire segment, and he was very passionate about the distribution business, rightly so, resigned and said, well, if you think you can do this better, why don't you show us how? Oh my God. And I honestly had, no experience on the commercial side, no experience to go and speak to the supermarkets. So it was daunting. Not only that it was daunting for me, but also for the male members in our team. Even though they trusted me and they trusted my business acumen, they had their doubts, right? So I had to go with conviction and prove myself every day, regardless of whether or not I was a female, regardless of whether or not I was part of the family business. It doesn't matter. What matters is the results you put on the table.
That's true. And it's pretty impressive, and the world can see that. So, being a strong, decisive CEO, how do you still be so well grounded and empathetic about so many things, aspects of your life?
I think the fact that I did not land on the CEO post based on nepotism, and the fact that I started from the root level is a very big difference in how I approach things. So I've started at the ground level, and then I've slowly risen through the ranks based on A, my education, B, how I implement that and translate that education into my projects and into my achievements. So I've been there. I've been on the ground level. I understand what they go through. I think this process has given me clarity over time. Clarity coupled with successful implementation brings you confidence over time.
That's true.
Right? So it's a process. It's a journey which has brought me here. And so now when I sit at this level, I am but I'm actually genuinely curious about listening to people before I go ahead and decide whether my decision is balancing both, is tying in with the vision, and it's addressing the needs of my team. Dismissing someone within your team is never the concept. My role is not to bulldoze them with what I think. My role actually is to serve them with tools and equipment so that they can do their job better. And in return, as a team, we can all perform better.
So I remember back in the day when I was looking for a particular kind of dates that I wasn't finding anywhere. And all I had to do was place a call. And I asked you, and you said, don't worry about it. I'll source it for you. And you sourced it, and it's been there on your website since then. So I know how passionately you work with your customers and that you actually really listen to them. So, Halima, Kibson has been known for its honesty, health, and sustainability. How do these things reflect in your personal beliefs?
See, Jamal and I have grown up with these values at home. Small things like, why pick up 3 tissues when you can do with 1? Or why, not turn off the tap when you can. Switching off the lights was a constant song with our parents, right? So we believe in being humble, doing the right thing. And within the Kibsons business, I think we've always had the heart of being kind to both health and the planet. And that's how Kibsons Cares was founded. So from the very beginning, when we started e-commerce, and this was the first time we had the little power and control over not using plastic bags in the supermarkets. We said, you know what, now we're going to do it our way. And hence was born the Gibsons boxes. So every opportunity we think about how is that footprint impacting the lives of humans, but also our planet in which we all live.
And I think you guys are doing a great job. I mean, my story of Kibsons boxes for you, it was like the main feature of my house. That I know that I used to tell everyone, be the advocate that you tell the stories that was revolving around all how you do sustainability and things like that, and you take care of the environment. You guys have come a very, very long way in looking after everyone, the health, sustainability, and everything. Do you have a vision of where Kibsons is going now? Like maybe a 5-year plan? Where do you see Kibsons in 5 years?
People often ask us whether Gibsons will be there in other GCC markets. And, people always ask us whether Gibsons will be in other GCC markets. And I always think to myself that the answer is yes, and it's all about the timing. Why? Because I feel that we still have so much more to do while we are here in the region. There is still so much that we can bring on to Gibsons' platform. We started with about 1,000 products in the early days with fruits and vegetables only, and then we added on to the meat and the poultry from our factory because it was clean, hormone, antibiotic-free. So that was our next big win. Then we expanded into dairy, bakery. Today we have about 18,000 products. So we've come a long way, but there is still so much more to do. And also, so much more of the population we haven't reached. I mean, sometimes I remember people used to ask me that you have these boxes, do you move homes? So ideally, Jamal and I would like everyone in the UAE to have tried Gibsons at least once. So to take that experience to the population is one of our main visions while we're here. But also, as Dubai is changing, as the world is changing, there is an economic pressure. We are, we are in a competitive market with razor-thin margins. So the pressure is always on keeping our costs low so that we can match those prices, those affordable prices that people have come to expect from Gibsons. So once we have that optimum model, I suppose then it would make sense to take that to other parts of the GCC.
Good, because we would like to see Gibsons all around the world, actually, not just GCC, inshallah. So Halima, you work very hard, I know, and has there been times where you kind of thought, oh my God, it's enough, I can't do any more, and I just want to give up, I can't do it, and then an inner voice comes and says, no, hold on, maybe you don't want to give up. So has there been moments like that? And what made you go on till today?
From the beginning of my career, one thing was clear. I was never going to settle for a job or a experience that wasn't really worth my time. In short, I truly love what I do. And for those who do, they will relate and appreciate that there is no such thing as stress when you do what you love. I mean, there is we are problem solvers. The problem solvers get excited at the next problem you have because they enjoy that process as such. And so I've never had to think about stepping back from my work because of issues and problems and challenges. That's just not who I am as a human being. And I have a lot of faith that the road has already been planned out for us. We just need to go with the flow and do what we can do within our zone of control. The rest is already chalked out. But there was a time in Gibsons when post-COVID, I think the e-commerce grew to a point where from being 5% of the Gibsons portfolio, it was 50% of the Gibsons portfolio. And there was a need of mental restructuring within the business as us as owners as to how seriously are we going to take this? Because for so many years, our focus was on wholesale distribution in our meat factory. And now e-commerce was at at a level that it demanded full-time attention. That was one thing. Secondly, the question was whether e-commerce is driven by me, and if I step away, is there consistency? So there was a time in Gibsons where I stepped away to prove both points, right? That the Gibsons can survive without me because the processes and the groundwork and the foundations have been laid correctly. And also for the owners to rethink about planning resources, finances into this new business model that we had accidentally created.
Right.
And that's when I came back as a CEO with that clarity so that we don't have day-to-day struggles. I mean, these are real things behind the scenes when it's a family business, 100% owned family business, and you have family members running the show. And I have to share that space with my own husband.
That's even more difficult.
It's interesting. I think Jamal and I truly complement each other at home, at office. But having clarity of roles, responsibility, and vision is still important.
That's true.
And you have to give yourself the time. So me stepping away gave everybody the time to think through things and come back with better force.
It's really, really interesting how you have, chalked your path in Gibsons and how you came back as a CEO. And so would you have a message for women like these who want to fit into these role of businesses like this?
I don't see it as fitting into something. I would say that we need to be ourselves. But I would be lying if I would say that, oh, this is all just me, myself. The truth is that I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by men who supported me, right? So Jamal's father, who started the business, was my biggest sponsor in everything, whether it was education. And education is so important because without education, you're not going to make it that far. I mean, without education, there will always be a ceiling that you will hit. So to push that ceiling, you need to extend your learning on the job, outside of Gibsons. That has always been, I think, my focus. And Jamal's dad always supported me. Jamal himself, I mean, he's the greatest sponsor in Gibsons, right? He allows me to champion whatever I come up with. It's never about whether it's a female or a male. It's about somebody who can bring a good idea on the table and then implement it. So I have to earn that trust and they have to champion that trust. So it works both ways. And I would say to women that look for those sponsors in your life. You need those sponsors in your life and equip yourself with the education. So together, if you can transform it into some actual implementation, then the momentum will be created, right? So it's many different factors. It's your belief, it's your success, it's the attitude that you can, at any stage of life, unlearn, learn, move forward with that conviction, and it will grow.
So here's a lesson for all of you ladies who are trying to fit into the businesses. You speak very fondly of your father-in-law and then, of course, your husband. But I would like to know, or maybe the audience would like to know, were there any women that inspired you into your journey of life?
My mom. I am what I am, who I am today because of my mom. She, in our early years, made it very clear that education is paramount. And it was my ticket to independence, which is so amazing. Financial independence, financial boundaries, I learned from my mom. Value for money, I learned from my mom. Back in the days, we didn't, when we didn't have enough, she made her choices. So I understood the importance of priorities in life. Because when you have less, you need to definitely prioritize. And my grandmother was an entrepreneur. My mom was an entrepreneur. it's not that it's in my genes, but they have been role models for me to understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur. The comprehension of finance. I mean, if there's anyone out there who hasn't studied finance or accounting at all and even doesn't want to try to understand and wants to run a business, is faking themselves, right? You've got to have that ability to read numbers, because what doesn't get measured will never improve. So I think all the ducks were in the row in my growing up years.
So, you have accomplished so much, mashallah, in your life, and still are on the way of accomplishing a lot more. What does success mean to you today?
I think for me, the real currency is satisfaction, personally. And everybody has their own metric of what satisfies them. My mother was a social worker. So she would spend a lot of time organizing finances for people, supporting them, helping them. My brother would spend time in the mosque, in the month of Ramadan. So adding value to other people's lives positively, is how the human brain is wired. We are the happiest when we do something for others, right? And I was very conscious and aware of that from my early years. So coaching people, mentoring people, I think now I've coined the word, but back in the days, it was just me taking everything I have, not just the 2.5% of my financial income, but everything I have, my knowledge, my power, my position, to bring some benefit to other people. So that journey has been very rewarding for me personally. I mean, Gibsons was a great platform because I could bring everything that I could to create those transformations and impact first the employees. So the people who are within the umbrella of Gibsons are my first priority. Then comes the customers, and then comes the shareholders to give them back the returns that they have trusted this company with.
So in short, you're saying that for you, success is being your employees being happy with your setup and your environment and with you and Gibsons?
Because so much of my personal happiness is driven by this process and this journey, I'm generally a very happy and positive and satisfied person. And that's enough. I mean, really, this is not something you can measure in money. But I remember in the COVID days, for example, we used to have these emails where people said, my husband is in another country and I'm stuck here with 4 kids, or there were elderly citizens, who had no other access to fruits and vegetables for food. And we were at the helm, right? I mean, that was another level of honor for the team. And when I translated that to the team and said, look, we all are here, not by accident, but by design. I mean, what are the chances of all the people in the world we had to be here in this time and moment with this access? So if there was anybody in the team who wanted to, let's say, be a doctor or engineer or someone important, and they couldn't do so because of lack of funds, I said to them, this is your moment, right? Because you are second in line to healthcare and you can actually make that impact in someone's life. No one in Gibsons took a single day off for 3 months, and not because I asked them to. They just, we are very grateful for what we do every day. And this is not just a business model. This is a product of passion and purpose. So that's why people ask me, how do you get your delivery so consistently with so much love and every day? I cannot explain, because it comes from a culture of I'm happy to be here. I'm grateful to be here. I'm satisfied to be here. I love what I do. And the rest is for people to feel that energy.
We all do feel this energy. And I just want to know, that you work very hard and you reward your people very well. How do you reward yourself? And what is it? How do you relax? Do you relax is a question. Do you take time off?
It's a tricky question. I think I spend so much of my time within the process of giving to others, whether it's the business, my role, my responsibility as a mom, being there for Jamal, that thank God for the fact that I do what I love, right? So that's easier on my soul. Every problem that I solve or every milestone that I achieve brings so much success to me. It uplifts me. So that in itself drives me. Regarding the question of switching off completely, I sleep really well.
That's good
And
news.
that really helps, I could do 10 hours in a deep sleep, and not many people can do that. So when I wake up, I have to recoup of, where am I?
But the question is, do you get those 10 hours of sleep?
I do. I don't know how, but I find them.
I'm glad you do.
Yeah. And then more recently, I think Jamal and I have made that focus that we need to step away and actually switch off. So what we both enjoy doing together as a family, all 5 of us, is we dive. So when you're under the ocean, it's so amazing for someone like me who is, running at a pace and in the operations. My world slows down because the only thing I need to do is focus on my breathing. And I marvel at the world underneath because it's so different to the one above the surface, right? So it slows me down. It gives me that pace, the transformation of pace. I love it. And this year, I did something exceptional. I deleted my WhatsApp, I powered off my phone, and I gave it to Jamal, and I said, "Happy anniversary."
That's great. I wish most of us, more of us can do this.
So you live and learn.
Good. It's an education for all of us busy moms, entrepreneurs to do this and to be able to have the capacity to do it actually. So, it was so inspiring as always to talk to you and to have this conversation and make the world, our other female, listen to, your story and how they can overcome challenges and be the person that they are. Are there any word of advice or messages that you would like to give women out there who are trying to make it into their own businesses and would want to make it big?
I would say that to any human being, but particularly women, because they need to sometimes be reminded that we are the center of the universe at our home, right? We begin our journey with being the daddy's darling, and then we are a little bit always more spoiled than the male siblings, which is the truth of life. And when we enter into a home and we become a mom, I think we're always the center of that universe.
True.
Right? So God has given us gifts that are undeniable, undebatable. We need to believe in them. And we should never let anyone make us believe or think otherwise, because we can truly achieve whatever we want to achieve. So it's about making choices and being okay with those choices. So for example, someone out there has made a decision to be a full-time mom. That's fine. That's great. As long as we know what we want, and that's a choice we have made, not imposed on us, you're going to be okay.
Thank you so much, Halima, for giving us so much time and for letting the audience know your story and where you began and all the messages that you have given. It's been truly inspiring and a lovely, lovely talk with you. Thank you once again for being our first fearless female.
Thank you, Shabana. Thank you once again.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please make sure to subscribe and like the video. Stay tuned and follow us on our socials for more.